Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and on today's video, we'll be talking about Alaska Airlines, and that's coming up right after this. Alright, hey everyone. Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to Traveling with Justin. I am Justin, and today we are talking about Alaska Airlines. Now, when I started out on this quest to talk about all the airlines I've flown on, somehow Alaska slipped my mind because I wanted to do it in alphabetical order. I did a post on Delta back in April when I flew on Delta to Los Angeles, but I'll do a video here shortly because I just came up with the video idea here about a month ago or 2 months ago. But anyway, I digress. All right, so today is all about Alaska Airlines. All right, so in 1932, there was a little tiny, I guess, airline called McGee Airways that started up. Yeah, Great Depression and everything like that. And there was a ton of airlines in Anchorage at the time. And so McGee, he sold off to or merged for $50,000 to what's called Star Air Services. All right, and so Star Air Services had like 15 planes in the Great Depression, so that was pretty good. However, McGee started a liquor company, and he partnered with Star Air Services to ship his alcohol to the remote parts of Alaska, just what they needed. All right, and so Airstar bought up Alaska Interior Airlines, and they rebranded it, the whole entire thing, as Star Air. All right, so in 1941, a businessman from New York City on the East Coast, came clear to Alaska, bought up the following: Lavery Air Services, Moreau Air Services, and Pollock Flying Services. So they bought up those, and they bought a hangar at the Anchorage airport. They renamed it the Alaska Star Airline. All right, and so when World War II hit, they ran into some problems because of shortages on pilots. Because a lot of pilots were going to fly in the war. And so with the few pilots they had, they found out that the pilots had to pay for fuel out of their own pocket. Lawsuits were filed against Alaska Airlines at that time during the war because of shortage of pilots, shortage of funds, so the pilots had to pay for fuel out of their own pocket, and all that stuff. I know, airlines have an interesting history. And then everything worked out. And then in the 1970s, they came under some economic hardships, like every other airline that I've talked about. But when the deregulation of airlines in 1979, that opened up a horizon. Because at one point, they were only servicing cities in Alaska and Seattle, Washington. That was their core. But 1979, that Airline Deregulation Act came into place, and they were able to expand. Now they fly to 117 different places. Those 117 places, they take place in the United States, Belize, Canada, Mexico, and Costa Rica. In Alaska itself, they fly to Anchorage, Adak, Barrow, Cordovo, Fairbanks, Juneau, Ketchikan, Kodiak, Cozy, I'm going to mess these names up, King Solomon, Nome, Prudence Bay, Sitka, and they fly to Hawaii. But up until 1998, they used to fly to Russian Far East. Yeah, they did. They flew to the Russian Far East, but that ended in 1998. And so Alaska Airlines is one of the biggest carriers for the west coast of the U.S., one of the biggest carriers out of Anchorage, Seattle, Portland, San Diego, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. So yeah, they do a lot of business on the west coast of the United States. So the fleet consists mostly of 737s from Boeing. They do have a few Embracers, 175 jets, but they're owned and operated by Horizon Air and SkyWest Airlines, which is regional air that Alaska uses. All right, so they do have some Airbus airplanes that they took a possession of when they bought out Virgin America. However, in 2020, they agreed to buy 23 Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes. So they're phasing out the Airbus and returning to an all Boeing airline. And also, they joined One World Alliance in 2021. Now that is a big step up for Alaska to join that One World Alliance. That One World Alliance is like huge. And in November 2021, they announced seasonal flights to Belize. August of 2022, they became an investor in a fuel company for jets. It's a different type of fuel that jets could fly on. So that's pretty good. And then in October of 2022, they decided they wanted to buy 52 more Boeing 737 MAXs. And here is a step, I think, in the wrong direction. That's just my opinion, solely my opinion, is in January of 2023, they decided to remove all plastics cups from in-flight meals and service. So I'm not sure what they're doing. I haven't flown with them since January. So the last time I flew with them was in 2018. Alaska Airlines have come from a small little airline that was flying mail, cargo, and passengers to remote parts of Alaska, now to, I think this is the 5th largest in the United States. So they have come a long way. And yeah, I like Alaska. They fly to Hawaii. Back in 2018, when we flew to Seattle to jump on the Ruby Princess to go to Alaska, we flew on Alaska. We were one of the last people to board. My son broke his foot the night before we left, and that was a nightmare. But we got there, and Alaska, the ticket desk, when we check in to board the plane, when we board the plane, actually, you go in there and board the plane, they were not going to let me board the plane because I had my backpack on, I had my carry-on, and I had my son's carry-on. And they're like, you have too many bags. I'm like, I have my son's carry-on. He's on crutches right there. He's like, well, you can't carry all that on. I was like, he's on crutches. He can't carry his carry-on. And, it took him a few minutes, to figure out, oh, he can't carry it on his own. But we got on the plane. We had to go clear to the back of the plane because that's where our tickets were at, our seats at. And my son struggled with crutches and things like that. But the airline was pretty good, all except for they were not going to allow me on because I had too many carry-ons. I really like Alaska Air. They do service Hawaii, so you can fly from Salt Lake City and go to Seattle and then on to Hawaii. And so I haven't tried that yet, to fly to Hawaii on Alaska Airlines. But I really do like Alaska Air. I've flown on them several times here in the past. I can't go wrong with them. They have had no problems except for, I had too many carry-ons. And they were really good to my son, who was on crutches and was struggling a lot. But that is it for Alaska. They do have flights over to the East Coast, but they majorly focus on the West Coast. You can fly out of San Diego to the East Coast. You can fly anywhere. but they do concentrate heavily on the West Coast because, of course, it's called Alaska Air. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and hope you guys are a little bit more knowledgeable about Alaska Air. And until the next video, guys, I will see you later, and keep flying. It's great. Bye for now.